Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into an area of psychology that is, well, it feels fundamentally counterintuitive, almost paradoxical.
It really does.
It's called acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT. And that's pronounced as one word, right? ACT.
That's right, ACT.
Hmm.
And our sources describe it as this whole new way of looking at psychological suffering. The basic idea is that the path to a rich, engaged life isn't found by, trying to get rid of all your difficult feelings.
Which is what we all try to do.
All the time.
Mhm.
Instead, ACT is about changing how we relate to them.
The whole thing really kicks off with this really profound observation about human nature. We suffer. And a lot of that suffering comes from the struggle against our own minds, our own difficult emotions, thoughts, memories, all the worrying, the dreading, the resenting them. It's exhausting.
It is. But at the same time, if you look at people, we also show this incredible courage. Well, people fall in love, knowing they could, and probably will, get hurt. People chase after these huge ideals, even when life can feel meaningless. ACT really tries to get into that tension.
A tension between the struggle and the courage.
Exactly. And that tension leads us to the core claim, this hook, which is honestly kind of shocking.
Okay.
The sources basically say that our problem-solving mind, the very thing that makes us so successful as a species, is playing a rigged game when we turn it on ourselves.
A rigged game.
Yeah. There's a direct quote. It says, "The human mind, a wonderful tool for mastering the environment, has been turned on its host."
Wow. Okay, so why? Why is the mind rigged against us in that way?
Well, think about any problem in the outside world. A predator, a leaky roof, even just a math problem.
Right.
Your mind is perfectly wired to find the bad thing and then figure out how to, fix it, control it, or just get rid of it. And that logic, it works 99.9% of the time for external stuff.
If the roof is leaking, I patch the hole. If there are pests in my garden, I remove the pests. Simple problem, clear solution.
Exactly. But that's where the trap is.
Ah.
Because when we take that exact same fix-it mentality and turn it inwards on our anxiety or our self-doubt or a painful memory,
It breaks.
it completely backfires. The sources say this common-sense approach makes our internal problems more entrenched and unmanageable.
So if I'm feeling anxious before a big presentation, my mind immediately goes, get rid of the anxiety.
Of course it does.
And I try to argue with it or push it down or distract myself.
Yeah.
But according to ACT, that move, that very act of fighting it, is what digs me in deeper.
It's the classic paradox of control, right? If I tell you, whatever you do, do not think about a pink elephant.
I'm thinking about a pink elephant,
Yeah.
obviously.
It's the same mechanism. The more you try to deliberately not feel anxious, the more you focus on the anxiety, which just feeds it and keeps it alive.
And I think we all feel that pattern. We spend years sometimes trying to fix the same chronic worry or low mood, using the same strategies. I shouldn't feel this way. I need to just think positive.
And this isn't some, rare disorder affecting just a few people. The sources really stress that psychological suffering is the norm, not some weird exception.
Right, it's not a bug, it's a feature of being human.
In a way, yeah. We don't have to get bogged down in all the stats, but the data is overwhelming. A huge percentage of even really successful, intelligent people are struggling with this stuff.
So the takeaway is, if you've been trying to solve your deepest internal worries for years and it hasn't worked, the problem probably isn't you, it's the method itself. You're using a hammer to fix a software bug.
That is the absolute key realization. The authors basically ask, if these traditional methods worked, why are you still stuck? It suggests the very attempt to free yourself is what's keeping you trapped.
Okay, so this is where it gets, really strange.
Yeah.
This is the part that goes against everything we're taught about happiness.
It really is a big shift.
ACT asks us to consider these really weird ideas. Like, psychological pain isn't just normal, it's important. Or that you literally cannot just decide to get rid of your pain.
And the biggest one of all, the most critical distinction, is that pain and suffering are two totally different things.
Explain that, because to me they sound like the same thing.
So pain is the difficult feeling itself, the sadness, the fear, the raw sensation, but suffering is the struggle against the pain.
So it's the second layer. The worrying about the worry.
It's the story we add. It's the resentment, the avoidance, the why me. That's the suffering.
But wait, hold on. If I'm supposed to just accept my pain, doesn't that sound like giving up, like resignation? If I just stop fighting my anxiety, won't it just take over my whole life?
And that is the totally logical, common sense pushback.
It's what my mind is screaming right now.
Of course. But ACT makes this powerful distinction. Acceptance here is not passive resignation. The sources define it as an active, vital embrace of the moment. It's a choice.
An active embrace.
And to make that clearer, let's use the metaphor they use in the sources. The battlefield.
Okay, the battlefield.
Imagine someone fighting a war inside their own head. A war against their sadness, their trauma, their fear. They truly believe they cannot live a meaningful life until that war is won.
They're fighting for their life.
They think they are.
Yeah.
But the tragic inside of ACT is that they can just quit the battlefield.
Just walk away from the war.
And begin to live life now. The war itself, the anxious thoughts, the sad feelings, they might still be happening over there on the hill. You might still hear them.
But I'm not down in the trenches fighting them.
Exactly. Its impact on your life, its actual substance, is totally different. Because fighting for your life is not the same thing as living your life.
And the really wild part is when you stop showing up to fight, the war itself might just fizzle out. The book asks, what if they fought a war and nobody came?
That's the idea. And there's another great analogy for this, psychological quicksand.
Oh, I like this one already.
So you fall into quicksand. What's your first instinct?
To struggle, to thrash around and try to put my legs out.
The common sense thing to do, and it's also the absolute worst thing you can do. The more you struggle vertically, the more pressure you create, and the faster you sink.
So my desperate attempt to free myself is what's killing me.
Precisely. The safer, counterintuitive action is to stop struggling. Lie back, spread your arms and legs, and just get with the mud.
You increase your surface area.
You change your relationship to the quicksand. You have magically gotten out of it, but now you can make slow, deliberate moves toward the edge. You're working with it instead of fighting against it.
That makes so much sense. The struggle is the sinking. So ACT is teaching you how to get with it.
And that brings us to the actual how. This isn't just, a bunch of nice metaphors. It's a real model with techniques, and they fall into three main pillars.
Okay, what are they?
Mindfulness, acceptance, and values-based commitment.
Let's start with mindfulness. I feel like we hear that word everywhere now. What does it mean specifically in ACT?
It's a very particular kind. It's really about something called cognitive diffusion.
Diffusion?
Yeah, learning to see your thoughts as just thoughts, as little events happening in your mind, not as literal truths you have to obey.
So most of the time we look through our thoughts, right? If I have the thought, I am a failure, I see the world through a failure lens.
Exactly. You're fused with it. It's directing your actions. The goal of mindfulness here is to learn to step back and look at the thought.
To notice it.
To notice, I am having the thought that I'm a failure. You see it as just a string of words, a piece of language your mind produced. An old story, maybe?
So I'm not trying to change the thought.
Not at all.
I'm just changing the context. The thought is still there, but now there's space around it.
That space is everything. Because in that space, you realize there are a million things you can do in this moment besides getting into another pointless argument with your own mind.
Okay, that makes sense. And that space leads us back to acceptance, which you said is the really challenging part.
It is. This is where we have to remember that trying to just delete a painful feeling that has a long history, it just amplifies it. It gets you more tangled up and pushes actual living off to the side.
So how is this active acceptance different from just tolerating something? If I just tolerate my anxiety, I'm kind of just sitting on the couch, gritting my teeth, waiting for it to go away.
Right. Toleration is passive. It's putting up with something, usually with a secret agenda for it to disappear.
Yeah, exactly.
This kind of acceptance is an active choice. It's choosing to be willing to have your experience, whatever it is, in the service of moving towards something you care about.
So you're carrying the feeling with you.
Yes. It's like you're choosing to carry this heavy, uncomfortable backpack because the path to the mountain peak you want to climb requires you to carry it. The backpack is not the point. The climb is the point.
So the anxiety might still be a 9 out of 10, but I choose to stop fighting the 9 and instead put my energy into climbing the mountain.
And you find that the 9 out of 10 might still be there, but its function has changed. It's no longer a barrier that stops you. It's just an unwanted passenger you've agreed to bring along on the bus of your life.
An unwanted passenger on the bus. That leads right to the third pillar then. Commitment and values-based living.
This is where it all comes together. This is the whole point. People put their lives on hold, waiting for the internal war to end. ACT says, stop waiting.
Live your life now.
Based on your values, now.
So what does that look like in a practical sense?
It means you first have to get clear on what actually matters to you. Deep down, is it connection, creativity, kindness, adventure,
Okay.
And then you commit to taking actions, real behaviors that are in line with those values, regardless of what that unwanted passenger on the bus is screaming at you.
So if I value connection, I call a friend. Even if my anxiety is shouting, they don't want to hear from you. You'll sound stupid.
Precisely. You let the anxiety shout, you feel it fully, and you pick up the phone anyway. The goal isn't to feel good. It's to live well. It's to live a life that matters to you.
So you're shifting from, as the sources say, useless mental management to life engagement. The problem isn't the thought anymore. The only question is whether the thought gets to stop you.
Exactly. You change the substance of the problem. If the anxiety is still there, but it no longer stops you from connecting with people, from creating things, from living,
Mm.
then in what meaningful way is it still a problem?
So what does this all mean then for someone listening? It's a huge shift in perspective. It's radical.
It is. It's a move from trying to win an internal war through control to living fully through willingness and observation. And the research shows this can change the role of these problems in your life, sometimes very quickly.
And what's interesting is the sources say, bring your skepticism, bring your cynicism.
Yeah, they invite it.
But they ask you to apply these same methods to those feelings too, to just notice the cynical thoughts and then choose what you want to do next.
It's about changing the rules of the game itself, not just finding a new strategy to win the old, unwinnable one.
The ultimate question here then is a really profound one. If you're willing to even entertain this idea that your years of trying to solve your internal problems have actually been feeding them, then you have to ask yourself, what is one value, something I truly care about that I've been putting on hold while I wait for this internal battle to be over?
And once you have that value in mind, maybe the next question is, what's the smallest possible step you could take today to move toward it, while letting that uncomfortable feeling, that unwanted passenger, just come along for the ride?